What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If we have not yet met, my name is Johnny Nitafan, and today I have three agents that are absolutely crushing it. Just joined my life insurance agency that I'm building, completely final expense, all virtual, over the phone, all across the country. And so if you haven't already, subscribe so you guys don't miss out onto the best content in the insurance industry. And most importantly, if you want to join my team, click the link down below and book a call with me and my team, and we can get you more information on how we can make that happen. Today, I pretty much want to get to people who have actually started working with me, their real experiences, and I'm just going to do a little bit of Q&A with them. Some of the first exclusive people that have actually come in, started working, actually made sales. So we're going to be able to go through that, like what the experience has been, what the training's like, what the leads like have been, how's that been like, and more. So hopefully you can partner with us as the fastest growing sales organization in the US. So first of all, I want to introduce you guys. So we have Dom. Dom, where are you coming from?
Yeah, I'm coming from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Boom. Okay. And then we got Tyrone and we got Brian. So, Tyrone, where are you from?
East Coast, New York City.
New York, baby, New York. And then Brian, what about you?
Hailing to you from Chicago, Illinois.
Boom. All right, cool. So we got, as you guys could see right here, we got everybody like from all over different places, right? So different places in the US, and that's what's beautiful about the businesses. We're actually hiring all over the US. So I want to start with Dom and your experience, Dom, with us. So you weren't licensed currently, and then you got licensed. You've kind of have a little bit of experience. Talk a little bit about your experience in the insurance industry before you started working with us.
Yeah, so I started when I was 19, really just fell on insurance. I was interested in the number side of things, wanted to be an actuary originally. So went to State Farm to gain experience, found out really quickly that it was a sales and marketing role. I wasn't anticipating, but found out really quick that I really do enjoy sales and developing meaningful relationships with people. So did that for 2 years. And then I actually went off and played basketball for a year down in Southern Oklahoma for a JUCO out there. And then after a year of that, realized I wanted to get back into the business, wanted to start growing my own business and start making money that way. So then obviously came across your content with Cody during that little challenge you guys did. I forget the name of it, but
Ultimate Agent.
Yeah, the Ultimate Agent. There we go. So contacted you that way, started texting, got or renewed my licenses before they lapsed. And then, started up with you here. Technically, my first day was last Wednesday.
Like, you have a little bit of prior experience coming into the insurance industry, but talk with us a little bit about what the transition to selling over the phone has been and how the training has been for you.
Yeah, it's been great. Being able to do it over the phone and not have to go into an office every day to basically do the same exact thing you'd be doing otherwise is really nice. And then just being able to connect with people from all over the country, right? Tyrone's in New York, you're in Phoenix, Brian's in Chicago. So that's just not an opportunity I had. So it's been really good in that sense. And then as far as the training goes, I mean, it's unbeatable. I mean, we have every morning, we have role plays and objections, or 4 objections, I should say. And then with Senior Life, obviously they have different trainings with obviously like David Price and other big dogs in the industry. So it's something that I wasn't able to get previously in my role with State Farm. And now I'm getting it here with you guys. So it's daily training, finding that your skill set and sharpening that sword every single day.
So you bought your first set of leads and you made your first sale today, right before this. What would you say some of the keys to your success has been to be able to do that? Because that's incredible, because you started on Wednesday, but then you got really sick, right? And you couldn't work for like 2 days, or was that before? I don't remember.
So yeah, it was before. So I hadn't bought any leads prior. I had got my license, and then like the week I was going to start, I got really sick, ended up in the hospital. But yeah, so last Wednesday, bought my first set of leads, and my experience with that, I mean, it was different, right? It was getting back into getting that expectation, right? Every time I call somebody, they're not going to want to talk to me. It's not going to be just every person you talk to, you're going to close. It's not like that. But for me, it was just staying consistent and disciplined with that, right? It's really easy to just get discouraged when you have 10 people in a row that you paid for those contacts and they tell you they're not interested and hang up on you or whatever their excuse is or their objection. It's just staying consistent with that. Eventually you come across that 15th person that answers the phone like I did, and then it turns into a sale. And then you make your money back, if not more, on what you spend on the leads. So it really comes down to what everybody talks about and staying consistent and disciplined and just having the faith that it will work out if you put in the work, which is the key to it, right? Are you going to put in that work? Are you going to make those calls?
How beneficial is waking up, starting your day drilling objections? How has that built your confidence as a producer, being able to role play with other agents, but then also moving into getting on the phones right after that? How has that built your confidence to get on the phones?
It's huge. For me, I've always been an athlete, so a lot of my analogies go back to sports. And I think that's the case for a lot of people, or whatever it is that you can compare it to. But for me with basketball, right, I was trash at basketball when I was in 8th, 9th grade. I'm only 6'1", never was overly athletic, but I was willing to put in more work than anybody else. I would train 6 hours a day, weightlifting, basketball training, all that, right? So it's the same thing in insurance, right? You're not just, unless you have the natural innate ability to be amazing on the phones, you have to practice that skill. It's a skill set. You have to practice it. So whether that's, working with teammates and working on objections, or if that's in your free time, instead of listening to some random rap song, put on a podcast or an audio book that is going to help you reach your goal. Right. So if that's in the weight room, in the car, whatever it is, to answer your question, it's huge. I mean, specifically that Social Security one we went over the other day, that objection, that's exactly what I came across that in the sale I got today. And without us going through that role play, I wouldn't have learned I don't want to use the word tactic, but the skill set in order to get past that objection and close the sale. Without that, I don't think I would have closed that sale. So it's just constantly refining that skill set and being prepared for when you do get on that phone call, just like preparing in practice for a game in sports.
Last question for you. What would your advice be to an agent who's kind of on the fence of if this may be a good opportunity for them? And then also, so it's a two-part question. The first one's somebody on the fence of joining our agency. What would you say, some advice you could give them? And then also when they do decide to make that jump and leap of faith to really join and really come in and start working with us, what would your advice be to get the sale, like really quick win in the first 5 days? What would your advice be for them?
Yeah. So for your first question, being on the fence, for me, I've always looked at it as this, right? I think most people that are coming into the insurance industry, vast majority of people, they're probably looking at it in terms of the income potential, right? Whether that's just being a producer forever or starting your own agency, right? There's a reason you have that ambition. There's a reason you have that goal. And what you're doing right now is most likely not working for you to get there, which is the reason you're looking at this opportunity, right? And there are, thousands upon thousands of people that have wildly succeeded in this industry. Why not take that chance? Worst case scenario, you get into it, you realize it's not for you for one reason or another, and then you go back to what you were doing before, or you find a different opportunity. But at the end of the day, you have to give it that shot. You have to go for it because it's your dream, right? So if you're on the fence, at the end of the day, just go for it. Worst case scenario, you're back where you were before. That's all there is to it. And then your second part of that question, as far as like how to succeed, honestly, I'm going to tread lightly answering this question just because, I'm new into it and I've only got one sale. But from what I've experienced is kind of what I said before, right? One, make that commitment to actually go all in for some period of time, right? Whether that's you give yourself 6 months, a year, whatever it is, but go all in because you can't fairly judge it if you don't. So go all in right away, take that investment in leads, whatever it is, right? At the end of the day, like I'll be straight up honest. Like I only put in $300 in leads last week. And that resulted in me getting a sale today of about $500 in annual premium, right? So with that being said, I mean, I haven't even went through all those leads yet, and I've already got a sale. So just go for it, give it your all, commit to it for X amount of time, whatever you want to give to it, right? I would recommend 6 months to a year to actually give it a time to actually show you what it's capable of, and just be honest with yourself, right? Don't go into it, don't half-ass it and then say, oh, it's the insurance industry's fault, or it's Johnny's fault, or it's the company I'm working with's fault. Hold yourself accountable, be honest with yourself, give it your all, and you'll be just fine.
Boom. Dom, appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. We're excited to have you continue to keep growing with our agency. Next up, we're going to bring Tyrone on. Tyrone Melendez, coming out from New York. So Tyrone, you have an interesting story because you have worked for a big agency in the past. I would say like there's a lot of hype culture with it, right? And so coming into this agency, what would you like? You came on fire. Talk about a little bit of your results from day one and what you're enjoying most about working here at Nitafan Financial.
Got you. Nice intro right there. Now, I would say this is going to be my 4th week this Thursday. One of the big key takeaways I would say that I see here that I couldn't find or see anywhere else, I would say is the transparency, right? Like a lot of times people get shiny object syndrome, right? Like, oh, it's nice over here, it's nice over there. You see people throwing this number or this number. Over here, it was like straight transparency. Like, listen, dude, this is what you're going to get. This is what you have to put in. And as long as you're willing to stick to it, like, dude, look at me. I came in my first day. I did 2 sales first day. I was like, didn't know what I was doing. The application was a little different because I'm used to, being a broker, having to shop around, see what carrier is this. It was like, okay, I just have to go on the application and just input a few things. Okay, that's pretty easy. Then it was like, okay, now which plan do I pick? I'm like, it helped that we were on Zoom. Everybody is like helping me out. They're like, dude, is this one? They're like, this is this one. I'm like, all right, I'm inputting the bank information. Someone is like telling me, hey, this is matter of fact, it was you, Johnny. You were like, hey, this is the router number. Looked it up real quick. I'm like, all right, great. Made it, nice and easy for my first client over here at your agency. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like everybody's here to help. It's like a team, it's a team game, right? Like even when I'm not making a sale, I'm listening to someone making a sale. And I'm like, all right, that's nice to hear. Let me take some notes. Let me write that down. Let me input that for my next presentation, right? So I would say that was one of the main things, transparency.
Because you've been to a few different places. What were you like specifically, I guess, looking for? Because you were a broker, you've been down the broker route, you've been down the place where there is that recruit like crazy, throw up crazy submitted numbers and like what actually sticks, what actually issues, what actually do you keep. What were you specifically looking for in an opportunity? And do you feel like you found that, or what was kind of that missing piece for you?
I would say it was more so that camaraderie, right? Like a place where I could be surrounded around people who are actually producing, right? That's a big key point, right? A lot of other agencies, they just focus on, recruiting, bring someone in, but like who's really producing? So coming over here and seeing people actually producing, and I'm like, all right, that's something great. That camaraderie, that like, okay, you get inspired just seeing, people making sales, actually working every single day with you, not just telling you to go to work. And I feel like that was a big thing, like a team, somewhere, I would just say camaraderie, right? Like a team where you could actually be around people and, surrounded around like-minded individuals, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And there's 2 more questions I want to ask you. The first one is, what have your results been so far? Just give us the raw numbers. What have you been able to submit in like premium with Senior Life? And then the second thing, how many deals have you closed with that?
So in just my first 3 weeks, I submitted a little over 4,300 in AP.
And how many deals?
That was 5 deals. 5 deals, 5 clients helped out. They were, it's a product that sells itself. Like, I don't know if I could talk too much about the product itself, but like the legacy assurance benefit, it's our sister company. Like that alone sells itself. Like I believe in the product so much that anytime I'm speaking to a client, I'm like, hey, listen, this is a no-brainer. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Last question, somebody who's kind of been at the bigger agencies, been at the bigger places. What would your advice be to a new agent thinking about possibly coming over and starting to work together with our agency within Nitafan Financial, partnered with Senior Life? What would your advice be to them on why it makes sense?
I would tell them, hey, listen, who are you being mentored by, right? Like, who are you listening to? Are they producing? Are they in the industry? Are they people that are supportive, right? Are they going to be there with you? I'm not saying anybody has to hold your hand, but like, it's great to be on a Zoom call while everybody's, all over the US. Some people in Arizona, some people in Illinois, some people in New York. Like, dude, it's like we're all in the same proximity on the Zoom call. So, like, make sure you're being mentored by the right people and you're listening to the right people. That's what I would tell them. Anybody who's on the fence, don't look for the shiny objects. That's all nice and stuff. But, like, you know, how's the support, right? Like, ask those kind of questions. Like, is there support where you're trying to go, right? And if you're on the fence, listen, there's nothing to be on the fence about. Like, you wouldn't know what it would be like unless you actually try and, dive into it. Don't just 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Let me test this out. It's not going to work like that. You have to actually be in it, be committed, and stay true, like, listen to your people, listen to the people giving you advice, like, open ears, open mind, and yeah, dive into it.
For sure. Well, Tyrone, you bring a great culture to the group. So I'm super grateful to have you a part of it, and we're going to continue rocking this thing. Thank you so much, bro. Brian, what's up, man? So Brian has come in and he's been at a few different IMOs. He's been an agent for a little bit now. Brian, what would you say distinguishes this agency for you compared to a lot of other agencies that you've been a part of?
Yeah, so I want to say thanks, Johnny, for having me on. And the biggest difference, I would say, is just the culture. I think anywhere you go, whether it's a job, to a gym, wherever you hang out, there's a certain kind of culture that you get involved in. And what I've learned from the past few weeks that I've been here is that everyone really just wants to help each other out, getting on the phone, getting on a meeting, and just getting motivational quotes. I think there's a big difference from practical training where you're actually involved. You're actually, sharpening your skill rather than just getting hyped up every day. There's a big difference between motivation and discipline. So with the training here, it really helps you build your discipline. Although I'm not on the call every single day because I'm at work, I'll still chime in to listen in because you are what you think about most of the time. So if you're just consistently involved in trainings and role playing, today when I was on the call, when I made the sale, I was thinking back to all the objections that we were going over during the week. So it definitely helped.
What would you say has attributed to a lot of your success here with Nitafan Financial? Like, what would you say some of the top things you would attribute to your success making your first sale, like within, first couple week or two?
Is all my past experience. Because sometimes you see someone come in and right away, they're on fire, they make a few sales, but then in essence, you don't see everything all the work that they put in the past few years. So really just finding a home somewhere where you want to hang your license and really grow a business and be willing to empty your cup for it to be filled from someone that's actually doing the work that you're looking to do. I would say that's been the biggest contribution, just taking all the experience from my years in the insurance industry and then just bringing it here and realizing that without putting in the work, you're not going to get much. So just staying committed. And a video that you put on YouTube, I think it was a few weeks ago, you asked a very simple yet profound question. You asked, what do you want? What do you really want? And that's something that I've been asking myself every day. And just understanding that if you keep what you want in front of you and you work towards it, it's inevitable that you're actually you're gonna achieve it.
Yeah, that's good. There's another question I want to ask you, and it's how, like, we are on Zoom every single day. It's like going into the office. So one of the biggest turning points that I personally had in my business is getting on Zoom every single day and acting like, hey, I need to be on Zoom. I need to be accountable to myself, but also to the people around me, and really like getting on, producing in front of other people, allowing people, being able to be like go through that humiliation process that some like being willing to get humiliated in front of other people when I'm not getting the sale, or when I do get the sale and people could hear the objections live, overcoming and how I was able to overcome them, the tonality that I use, the questions that I ask. That was a huge turning point that was in my business to really continue starting to grow this thing. Like, what has your experience been with being able to get on Zoom every single day, listen to people close deals, and then also being able to get help walking through your whole process? Because the cool thing about the Zoom that we have is that while some people are getting like on calls, is that we're there to listen to you, to train you, to coach you, to mentor you, putting in the chat questions to ask and how to like work through these different things, kind of as Tyrone was talking about earlier. But Brian, what has your experience been like being able to get on Zoom every single day with people and closing deals daily?
Yeah, so the experience has really been it's priceless, it's invaluable. And the reason I say that is because last year around this time I was going out door knocking. I had just sent out mailers. I had sent out a few thousand mailers and I got a pretty good return on my drop. So the biggest difference is when I would go door knock to set an appointment for the next day, I would go meet with the people, sit with them at the kitchen table, kneecap to kneecap. And then after I went through the whole inventory, I would have to call my manager and say, hey, I'm sitting with so and so. They have this condition. They're taking this medicine. And with your agency and with the Slice app, everything's been streamlined to the point where we're on Zoom. You get to hear what I'm saying, so I don't have to go out of my way, tell the client to hold on a sec while I reach out to you because you've already been in the loop, hearing the presentation, hearing the phone call. So as far as the actual live feedback, it's priceless because you don't have to go out of your way to get that information. You already have someone there on the Zoom with you, guiding you and literally holding your hand through the process to make sure that the client gets covered and that you get paid because you can't make sales, you're not going to be in business, and if you can't be in business, then you're not going to have too much motivation to keep going. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And Brian, what would you say to somebody that's not totally sure, that's been around a few places and they're like, what is really different about this place? Why should I join what Johnny and other top producers are doing? Why should I join like Nidafan Financial? Like, what would you say to that agent that's like tested the waters of telesales and face to face and haven't had the success that they're looking for?
yeah, so I'll give you my humble opinion of what I would tell myself if I was still on the fence, which I was a few weeks ago. And it comes down to two things. You don't know what you don't know. So unless you try something out for yourself, you can't just take the opinion from someone else that said, "Hey, I tried that and didn't work." But then you see that there's proof of concept from people not just only within our agency but within the company that are making multiple six figures. And sometimes the newest agent isn't able to fathom making six figures because they've never made six figures in their life.
Yeah.
But if you set yourself a goal of something that is actually at your level, so let's say you've never made $5,000 before. We have people here that are making double that. So if you want what you don't have, you have to find someone that's doing what it takes to actually get that result. So I would say proof of concept is number one. And then number two is the live guidance, like how I just mentioned, being on the Zoom and being guided through the closing of the application. It's priceless because you don't have to wing it. And then if you wing it, sometimes your application won't get approved or you get a chargeback. So actually having that support is really important for sure.
Yeah. Brian, well, we're super excited to have you on board in the agency, really growing and really we're excited to see your success, especially growing here. We're really excited to see that. And we're grateful to have you a part of the team. So appreciate you. And then Santiago. So Santiago has been him and I before I even started growing an agency. He has been a part of been somebody that I've really tried to help in the sales process. and really grow his sales skills. Santi, talk to us a little bit about what has the training that we've been able to do one-on-one and also in a small group. How has that helped your sales skills? And what has that looked like for you?
Yeah. Well, first off, Johnny, thank you for having me. I'm going to sound redundant because so many people said such great stuff and hit it right in the head. But I'll tell you, being part of the team and just having that kind of environment that you may not be used to. I wasn't myself. And where everyone's kind of in the trenches and just pushing forward. That for me was a world of a difference. Just being part of the team, you leading from the front, right? You're in there with us producing. We're on there on the virtual office. You're unmuting yourself. We get to listen to you. And on top of that, you're breaking down your script and being open and honest about sections we may need to improve on by doing the role plays. That has been a game changer for me. Just having that kind of environment and support. Yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah. You've come from a place where you mainly set appointments, and I know you're setting a little bit appointments too, but talk to us about like how it's been for you to transition to one call closing and how we've been able to help in that whole process.
Yeah, well, I was foreign to the idea of one call close. I had no idea that that was even possible. I mean, you hear it, but I always cross that off. Like, that I'm sure that works for some people. That'll never work for me.
Yeah.
So doing the shift from appointments where, you're dialing some days, you're just focused on setting appointments. And then there's days where you're just focused on running appointments. Compressing that into when you're dialing, you're closing, I mean, at first I was nervous. I mean, shoot, felt like I was barely getting into the business. But once I got it down with your training and the role plays and stuff, man, it's addicting for sure. Just the time saving, right? And then it really took me a little bit of time to reshape what I thought activity sales look like, right? And then just really being involved with you guys and doing the role plays and stuff, that helped so much first to let me know it was doable. And that's what gave me the courage to actually do it. And since then, man, it's changed everything for me. The way I look at activity, my production.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what we've really referred to throughout this whole time is like we do a daily role play every morning. Keep it about 30 minutes. But I really believe in not just like going out and listening to calls and get inspired and motivated and like, oh my gosh, like excited, but actually doing the work that's going to breed the activities and breed the results that you want, right? So it's super important, and we have it's in our core values to do the work and not be afraid of that and not shy away from it, because the reality is a lot of places, a lot of different agencies out there distract themselves from the actual work. They have the calls, they have the meetings, they have these great talks, but the real thing that's going to bring you money, I had to sit back and I had to cut everything else out and sit for 5 months every day just working. I didn't get on any calls for 5 months straight. And that's when I was able to make over 6 figures into my bank account just from doing that and actually putting in the work. And so that's what we fully believe here is doing the work, putting in the reps and doing the role play, because the reality is you're going to get probably 9-10 objections max, and that's it. And so we actually we have a script of objection word tracks that once you are able to master those, that's like a foundation to be able to start closing more. And then it gets fun, it gets exciting. You start closing a lot more deals. So if you haven't already, click the link down below to join and get more information on how you can join us as we're really growing all across the country. But also let me know if you guys need scripts, word tracks, things like that. We provide all that training to our agents. Santi, I want to ask you another question. So what has the experience been like being on Zoom daily with people and being able to like literally get coached on the spot, like trying to close deals?
Yeah. I mean, man, Tyrone said, camaraderie, right? And it's just being surrounded around people that are in the trenches with you. And not only that, but reaching out and making sure you got what you need. That is game changer, man. That is, this business is tough, especially if you're doing it over Zoom, right? Yeah. It could feel like you're in that raft in the middle of the ocean all by yourself sometimes. So being plugged in to a community like that, I mean, it's a game changer. It really is. You really feel that support. And, you've done a great job of also showing us that you can have a great system, but at the end of the day, You have to put in the work. So be in there, be active, and then seeing other people doing it. That just, lifts the spirits, man. Really does.
Yeah, totally. Last question for you. So what? I have two more questions. What
Yep.
originally had you reach out to me to start working with me, like pretty much like more of a one-on-one, like very private, like type, like training? What made you reach out? Like what did you think that could help you? And then how has the results? What have the results been since starting to work, like especially really closely with me in the sales training process?
Yeah. Well, first off, your grit, man. Your grit of being committed and disciplined and doing what you need to do, even when it's hard, right? And you being open and honest, just upfront of what that looks like. And, not all, rainbows and, all that's good stuff, which is great. It helps keep you motivated, but you also explain the rough side of things and what kind of grit it takes to be successful, right? And that's what attracted me off the bat. It was like, okay, this is somebody that can actually lead from the front, and he's somewhere where I want to be, right? And again, rethinking of what that activity looked like and what it really takes to make this work, right? I kind of came into the industry thinking, I'm going to make some quick money. It's going to be so easy. I'm going to be rolling in dough, and you find out that's not really what it is, right?
Yep.
And in a good way too, right? It's like, no, you got to work for it. Right.
Yeah.
So from the get, man, you just been a representation of somebody that was in the industry that was going to make it work. Right. And that's where I wanted to be. For me, it's not about like if this is going to work. It's just a matter of when. I just have to stick to it. Right.
Totally. And what transformation have you had since starting to work together about 1 to 2 months ago?
Yeah. I mean, production wise, having record month right now. Just ended a record month there.
What was it, by the way?
19K APV.
Oh, and what was your previous record?
Ooh, I probably 9 to 10 around there. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's double. That's like literally doubling production. Would you say it's worth it? Like us starting to work together, would you say that that commitment has been worth it?
Yeah, of course, man. It's priceless. It's priceless, man. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously you being the kind of person that's actually wanting to help and build people up, you could have easily, ignored my messages and stuff when I first reached out. But man, you're giving and you're very clear and honest, like, hey, like I'm willing to give, but you guys got to put in the work. Like that's what it is. So yeah, that communication has helped the entire time and allow me to set different expectations and break down limited beliefs I've put on myself. All that just encompassing the entire environment that you guys are creating.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, if you are still on the edge of joining, just take a peek. You don't know and what you don't know. We have training. We have, as you guys have heard in here, we have the virtual call center where we're literally live on Zoom every day, closing deals. Last week, closed 3 deals in a row for like people to watch. And there's also people closing deals as well, not just me. Join the tons of other people that are joining as well. Click the link down below to get more information on how you could possibly be a part of this life-changing opportunity, but more importantly, a community that actually cares about your success. And you're just not a number here. We actually care about you, your family, and we want to see you guys win. We want to do it together. We want to change the industry together on the journey as well. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Share this with a friend, and I'll see you guys on the next one.